The Area Cup Series season is about to start as the Real Racing Series wanes in the cooling months of September and October. And with the series kickoff next Monday with the Area 500 on October 3rd, we have to set the field for that race. Tonight, 2:30 lap Area Duels at Daytona are what we're contesting for 40 positions in that race. Hi everybody, I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Hunter Sleppy and Finian DeCuna. Finian, welcome back. Kicking off things at Daytona, this time for the duels. Everybody fighting for 40 positions in 2 duels at Daytona. Typically this is a February show, but this time it's in late September.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to seeing these guys getting down on the track, getting ready to qualify, or at least make their attempt to qualify for the race. We've got 40 cars listed on track, and they're all fighting for 43 spots. There are a few guys who think that are not shown up, so they should be locked in, but they're not going to be qualifying in. And some guys, they're just trying to make sure they can actually make the show. Only 3 open spots with a handful of drivers all vying for the spots. We'll see who's going to be going in and who's going to be walking home.
The Hunter, certainly tonight is going to be a challenge for some of those open drivers that are not guaranteed a spot in the Area 500. What is the strategy tonight with this next-gen car? Is it go up front, race up front, or is it kind of hang out, wait for that wreck, and then charge through towards the end?
Personally, I would stay in the back because, like you mentioned, there are open cars that want to get up to the front, and like you mentioned, 30 laps for each duel, so you're going to want to play it safe for at least the beginning portion of it. Then if it gets to halfway and there's still no caution, then I'd be getting a little urgent with trying to get to the front. And like you mentioned, the duels, it's to set the starting order for the Area 500. The winner of each duel starts in the second row. So even though drivers are locked in, they still want to get the highest finishing position possible. And like we saw last week with the shootout, anything can happen and all sorts of chaos can break loose at any given moment.
I think we're certainly expecting chaos in Finian, this next-gen car. One of the changes was a couple of years ago was to get these cars to race a little bit better across the board. Well, in the plate racing, it kind of got a little bit wild. We don't run restrictor plates on these cars anymore. It's just that tapered spacer. It changed the drafting fundamentally in these cars, and it seems like it made it a lot more volatile to be in this field. You can make up positions, and you can lose positions a whole lot faster than you used to be able to.
Yeah, that's the really big thing. That's what we see a lot. Typically through the beginning and middle portion where you see guys being a lot more conservative because you spend that time making so much progress, cutting your way through the field. One wrong move, one small misstep out of line, you just think that people are going to be there and they ditch you out. You're going to be dropping back through the field very quickly. So you're going to see a lot of guys maybe being a little bit more cautious early on. Maybe see some guys trying to make some moves here and there and see what they can do. But I think later on you're going to see pretty much a whole bunch of jockeying for position, everyone trying to be conservative while also trying to push that just a little bit more.
And Hunter, I think one of the other challenges when you come to a Daytona duel specifically is there tends to be a tale of 2 duels. One of the duels tends to be a lot cleaner than the other, and when you see that first duel run pretty clean as a driver, does that make you nervous knowing that you guys might be the ones to end up turned around backwards?
Yeah, I mean, there would be a little bit of that, oh no, this is too good to be true, you know? So, but like you mentioned, anything can happen. Like we're seeing right now, they're just running around in practice, and all of a sudden you got 7 cars spinning out on the backstretch. So you just got to be cautious and keep an eye out because it could be a polar opposite. Like the first duel could just be clean racing. Then the second duel, like we saw in 2014, it was clean racing up until the finish. Then all hell broke loose, and Clint Boyer went upside down on pit road.
Yeah, there's certainly lots of chaos that is the potential for tonight. Again, setting the grid for next week's Area 500. Again, if you've got that guaranteed spot, you're going to race very aggressively. There's really nothing to lose here. If you're one of those open drivers, things might look a little bit different for you. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see your drivers' practice times at the moment. About 5 minutes remaining here in practice before we get set up for our 2 heat-style dual races here. Lots of new colors, lots of new liveries here, Hunter, as we get prepped for this series season. The field is full and colorful across the board here. Lots of team swaps as well during silly season.
There were a lot of team swaps and a lot of new teams that are joining in, not only just the Area Cup Series, but all throughout Area as well, and some rebranding, like Elwood Design Esports rebranded into Sky Motorsports. And from what I'm seeing, we have 6 new teams, bringing the total to, I believe, my math is correct, 11 new teams for the Cup Series.
Really exciting stuff. And we got a lot of new teams, a lot of new drivers. Anytime we enter a new season, there's always a topic of discussion about not knowing who your competitors are, not knowing who you can trust. A lot of these drivers are returning from last season, but with some new drivers as well. How many drivers can you trust, and how quickly can you earn their trust in a 30-lap race?
I think, you're going to see a lot of that. It really is going to be a matter of, just trying to figure out who is willing to work with you and who really isn't willing to work with you. Maybe some guys are going to be strictly just focusing on working with their teammates. You see other drivers are maybe a little bit more open. They have a bit more of an open relationship. They're going to be trying to just find who is willing to work with them to the field and see where they can make some progress here and there. And I think there's positives and negatives to both. If you work with your teammates, you got a solid unit that can work together, especially if you got a 4-car team. Guys who are more open, they can be a little bit more variable as the race conditions change, as the track position changes between yourself and other cars. If you can find yourself working with more people, and especially if you work well in the draft, more people will be willing to work with you, and that can definitely be an advantage.
Certainly trying to work with people and work with your teammates if you can. What about manufacturer alliances, Hunter? I know that if you got your teammates near you, you're certainly going to lean on those drivers. But as we look down the list of cars here, relatively even splits between Chevrolet, Toyota, and Ford. Is that a consideration at all for these drivers? Do they care about pushing a blue oval versus the Toyota logo versus the bow tie, or is it all every man for himself in those final couple laps?
I think for the final laps, it might be everybody for themselves, or just whichever lane has the most momentum. But I don't really think manufacturer matters, because there are some drivers outside of the league that are really good friends. It doesn't matter what manufacturer you run, but we could see some of the same manufacturers working with each other, like a Chevy and a Chevy. Or if your friend is in a Ford, they could push that person up towards the front.
So cars and drivers already kind of experimenting with the drafting here and getting used to running in a pack this big. Again, it's been a little while since we've gone racing for real. Of course, we had the shootout last week with the ARCA cars, but this is the first return to Cup cars in a couple of months, Finney, and the first time in a long time at a plate track. So I think there's a lot for drivers to learn, some changes to the cars and things that could kind of we have to keep in mind as we enter our duels here. But I think the challenge between this week and last week and next week is that last week there was absolutely no consequences. Next week there's all the consequences, and this one is somewhere in between. Minutes left here in practice, setting up for qualifying, and the 11 of Jordan Martin takes a punt, and big crash at the exit of turn number 2 as everyone tries to experiment here, Hunter. But for now, it looks like at the top of the board, it's Danny Ware in the number 00. Travis Beckner runs second, Matthew Bell, Ryan Hartz, Garrett Grant, all drivers we're familiar with in this single lap speed. Now the track record is a 47.835. All in qualifying, of course. Right now in practice with that draft, it's a whole lot faster, about a second and a half quicker.
Yeah, I was going to say that track record stems from season 1, and the drop-off was immense between the Gen 6 car and the next gen car. I believe the qualifying time was in the 50-second mark there for last season, season 2, in which we first debuted the next gen car. So I would assume it's right around the same speed, and you saw there they were practicing some 3-wide action. When we came back here for season 2, saw a lot of side-by-side action, a lot of people running all the way up top and on the bottom, not a whole lot through the middle. So I think they're going to try and see what they could get away with here in practice, and maybe use that for the duel. But for the main event, the Area 500 next week, I don't think we're going to see a lot of 3-wide action unless there's less than 10 laps left.
Yeah, certainly. I think there's a lot of discussion about tonight the strategy for those that are already in. Of course, you're already locked into the race if you're a part of one of those teams, but if you're not, one of those open drivers, again, the aggression level has to be tamed a little bit, because you can get yourself in real trouble here very early in this race, or your duel, I should say, if you're a little over-aggressive. So there's something to be said about maintaining position early and just kind of learning how the car drafts and then moving forward towards the end.
Yeah, but coming up right now is qualifying, and if you qualify in first or second, then you don't have to worry about the duel. You can just drop right to the back and just hang around with the end of the pack and see what action unfolds in front of you. But if you don't qualify in the front row, you got to give it your all.
Right, and the qualifying session is going to be extra important as well. Finney, and qualifying here at plate track's always a challenge, because it feels like you don't really have much of an impact on your qualifying position, but you really do. It's all about how you strategize and take the line around here, even when you're just flat out.
Yeah, absolutely. You really do. And that's the funny thing, right? Because at the end of the day, you are just giving your foot down pretty much all the way around the track and just kind of following in lane. But we always talk about it. It's always basically a chess game at 200 miles an hour, figuring out where you need to go, following the momentum of each lane of drivers, where the cars are, where the speed is, and especially, depending on what time of the race it is, when's the time to strike.
Well, area duels at Daytona, qualifying about to begin. 10 minutes on the board, and drivers will get up just a couple of laps to lay down their fastest time, and already cars rolling. Ryan Swan at the number 19, the BlairRaces.com Toyota already rolling on the bottom lane. Looks like David Weishart is getting up to speed as well. The Matco Tools car, Jordan Martin, Ed Robertson, JT Poole, Bryce Senesac, Ricky Springer, and many, many more, Hunter. This, again, getting yourself on that front row, that solves all your problems tonight if you could do just that.
Oh, absolutely. And just saw 19 of Ryan Swan. He won at a restrictor plate track last season in the area in the Lodge Box Series, bringing it home in the black number 3. Actually, it was the paint scheme of the black number 3 replicated on his number 8 car. So Ryan Swan knows a thing or two about how to get up front here in the Super Speedway, but it's different from the Xfinity car compared to the next gen, and I feel like he will be one to watch for later tonight in the duels. I don't know if he'll qualify up towards the front, but definitely when that duel hits, he'll turn into a different animal.
Well, running the high lane here on this opening lap in qualifying, Finian, we always see this here. Run the rim on the first lap, then run the bottom on lap 2. It's all about building that momentum here. These cars take a while to spool up and get to full.
Yeah, it really does. And that first lap, it's almost never really quite faster than the second lap. That extra lap, it might not seem like much, and at the end of the day, it isn't, because you're fighting for hundreds, thousands of a second. So the second lap is always typically the one you want to prioritize. So you're going to see a lot of guys potentially just not even bother all trying to get a good time in on the first lap, and just use it to build momentum up for lap number 2.
So top of 5th gear, and at 31-degree banking for Ryan Swan, that will count for a 50.386, a 49.9 for JT Poole's first lap in the number 32 car. Here's a look at the 32, the kind of cyan sky blue, and then the One Coast colors on the side as he rolls through the bottom. But again, it's all about that second lap, Hunter. Lap 1 is the throwaway. It's all about lap 2, but JT Poole takes that first lap.
Yeah, I guess that's all he needs, just that first lap. He figures, all right, well, it's only going to matter in the duel, or a lap might be good enough to stay inside the top 2.
Well, time's beginning to trip the timing and scoring now on the first lap for several other drivers. Jacob Bell is on it. Danny Ware is on it. Alan Ballacchino. Tyler Nichols jumps to the top of the board in the number 41 car as he heads down towards turn number 1 of the Solar Flare Toyota. Ryan Swan up to the top by 0.03 of a second, and that was his second lap of qualifying. So you see that car slow down to a halt in turn number 1. Who else is coming back to the stripe this time through? Let's take another look at Brad Slaughter Jr. in the number 88 Chevrolet, the David Weishart Racing Matco Tools black and red livery with the 88 adorning the side. Finian heading down the backstretch here. And Brad Slaughter Jr. always competitive in all 3 of the series that we've seen him in. We'll see if he can put himself on top here in this qualifying effort.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you mentioned this before too, but Brad Slaughter, one of those drivers that's competing for those last 3 positions, those last 3 opening slots. So he's on the bubble. He's one of those guys trying to race his way in as he comes out of turn 4 here to come across the line.
If I was betting on somebody racing their way in, I would take this 88. We've seen how talented he is across all the series, Finian.
Yeah, we definitely think that he's definitely going to be one of the favorites to get those spots, but you never quite know. I mean, whether or not he makes it in, it's all depending on where he finishes. If he's kicking out of a wreck, he could be potentially out of it, so that's really the big issue of his situation. And I'm sure he knows that he can't be too crazy, too risky here, because he needs to make sure this car makes it back to the finish line in one piece and in a semi-decent position.
Wayne Culberson to the top of the board, Hunter. The 81 goes P1, then the 70 of Ballacchino, then Ryan Swan, Tyler Nichols, and Jordan Martin. Early picks, Hunter, for any winners. Is there anybody in particular that has a knack for plate racing that we should really keep our eye on? I know you mentioned the 19 has already won a plate race in recent memories, or anybody else that belongs in that category?
I would say the camera's on him right now. This is the defending Area 500 winner, Brad Slaughter, coming across the stripe. 6 quick. Yeah, I would keep an eye on that 88 car. He knows a thing or two about plate racing, not only in the Truck Series, but the Cup Series as well. I'd also keep an eye on the 7 of Scioli as he's about to stop on the track, but Scioli's been progressing in these next-gen cars, and this is the one that you always have to keep an eye on no matter where we go. The defending Cup champ, Jake Nichols, he's fast no matter where we go, even at Daytona.
Going to be one to watch as well. Cosmin Yonoshiwu in the number 84 is currently second quick in the 84 Simrap market car, and there he is down into turn number 3. Of course, Simrap is on board with our replay wipe here this season, so you'll see that logo flash across the screen anytime that we're kind of breaking down any incidents or accidents or any kind of wild moments on the racetrack. Here comes Cosmin out of turn number 4 on his 3rd lap, so he's already done. But second quick for the number 84, and 49.860 is the best lap we've seen.
That's a really nice paint scheme.
It really is.
I say it really pops out, especially under the lights here at Daytona. And originally, he was listed as one of the open cars, but is listed under as part of Last Charter Racing with Brandon Key. But second quick for the 84 of Cosmin Yonoshiwu.
So with the top 2 set as Jake Nichols and Cosmin right now in the 84, you have to look down the order and see Douglas Newbegin, Brandon Zimmerman, Dominic DeLeo, and Travis Beckner and Gabriel Ellison, who are the only drivers to have not yet recorded a lap time here in qualifying. Finian, this is a pretty crucial moment here because these are the only drivers that can knock those top 2 off that front row and eliminate that automatic bye.
Yeah, we'll see what they're going to be able to do. They can muster up anything here coming down to the closing stages of qualifying. Everyone trying to get those top 2, because once you get those top 2 spots, you can just chill and relax the rest of the race. Doesn't matter what happens. You're locked into the front row for the race. Everyone else has got to jockey for position. So there is quite a bit on line for some of these guys who know that they're quick. They got a car that can put in the top 10, top 5. And it's a matter of getting those last few thousandths of a second to get up on the front 2 spots.
How do I know you need those last few thousandths? Look at the ticker, 49.85, 49.86, 49.86, 49.86. You have to go down to the thousandth right now. There's only 56,000. I mean, there's only 60,000 between the top 13. Here comes Beckner. He's going to probably slot himself right in the middle of all that drama as well. Only 33rd best, actually. A little surprising there as we now just wait for Dominic DeLeo to put some lap times in the 22 Hunter.
Yep, DeLeo, Championship 4 driver last season. He's been progressing ever since the first season of Aereo. Started out with the ARCA cars, then moved into Cup, and then towards the end of Season 2, started to get into a rhythm and found himself contending for a championship. I look for him to run it back with Fazikis Motorsports and the rest of his crew, Balancino, Patterson, and Rafe Slade. Got a good group of guys over there at Fazikis Motorsports.
Across the line for DeLeo, lap number 1 is a 50.3, but lap number 2 is going to be the money lap. Looks like, well, it all depends on how DeLeo does here. If DeLeo is not quicker than Nichols or the 84, what that means is that one of those 2 drivers will be locked onto the front row because Gabriel Ellison is the only other driver that has not yet taken a time that will have time to do so here. So still a little bit of jockeying potential left, but if DeLeo doesn't do it, looks like Jake Nichols will be guaranteed a front row spot. Three and 4 on his qualifying lap. This is lap number 2, the final lap that will count for Dom DeLeo. 40th on the timing right now. Only 40 will start the race next week. Where will Dominic qualify for the duels tonight? It will be a 50.032, only 36th quick. He'll be a little bit disappointed at that as move on now to Gabriel Ellison, who is the last driver to roll out in the Roasted Gems Coffee Chevrolet. That means that Jake Nichols is guaranteed a spot on that front row. Finian, perhaps no surprise, given that he's the reigning champ.
Yeah, I don't think it really is any surprise to see him up there. Everyone was expecting him to do fairly well. So he's going to pretty much just reclaim his place near the top of the board and go on for the race from there. I guess maybe people are expecting a little bit more from him, if anything. Well, but again, really it comes down to how you're going to perform in the duels. As Ellison comes across the line, going to cut down below the double yellow.
All right, 21st quick, and that will solidify Jake Nichols in the number 91 as one of our front row starters. And Cosmin Yoneshiwu in the number 84 as your other front row starter. They are locked in. Their positions are set for the Area 500 next week. Hunter, that is a good feeling for the 91 and 84s.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's better for the 84 of Yoneshiwu than Jake Nichols. I mean, we already know how fast Jake Nichols is and how much of a contender he can be, but this guy is new to area. He just showed up here, just stole the front row position away from everybody else. Cosmin Yoneshiwu, remember the name, folks. So he's going to start for Duel 2 on the front row, but on the front row for Duel 1, it's going to be Jake Nichols in the 91. We'll see if he drops to the back. Like I mentioned, you're already locked in, guaranteed for the front row starting position. You don't know if you'd want to run up front and risk wrecking the car. Just might want to see these guys drop to the back and see how their car is in dirty air.
All right, the area duels at Daytona are about to begin. Thanks for joining us here on Sim TV or on the area Twitch channel as well as we get prepped for our first 30-lap event. This race should take about 25 minutes if it goes green from start to finish. Again, I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Hunter Sleppy and Finian D'Acuna. Finian, I know it's a little bit of an unconventional ticker here, but let's roll down the left side of the screen. Let's roll through our starting lineup. I'll kick things off. Starting in row number 1, it's going to be Jake Nichols in the number 91 and Dwayne Culberson in the 81. He will be your outside front row starter. Row number 2, it's going to be Alan Ballacino in the number 70 alongside Tyler Nichols in the number 41, followed by Brad Slaughter Jr. and Douglas Newbegin in 6th, the number 71 car. Brandon Key and Jacob Bell roll off in row number 4 in 7th and 8th place respectively. The 95 and 77 will start alongside each other. Michael Sturgill and Seth Noel will start in row number 5 alongside each other. Gabriel Ellison in the number 27 and Jeff Ryan will start 11th and 12th. 13th and 14th is the 45 and 16. That's Seiden Feiden and Tom Bourne. That will start in row number 7. Row 8, JT Poole in the 32 and Bryce Senesac in the number 09. And then row number 9, Andrew Player and Garrett Grant will start alongside each other in 17th and 18th place. 19th place is Dom DeLeo in the number 22 alongside Dwight Beaverly in the number 01 and 20th. And Mark Patterson and Brandon Zimmerman round out the rest of the top 22 drivers here in this first duel of the night. Hunter, the field rolls off on their 1 pace lap. About time and about ready to get racing here next time by.
Yep, looking forward to it. Going to see some drivers drop to the back, but we'll expect most to keep their foot in it and try to make the most of what they can early on and see these guys settle into a groove.
Well, here is a look at the race analysis here. 30 laps, it's just under 75 miles. 42 drivers in total qualified tonight. Of course, only 40 will move on to the race. Quick look at the weather information on the right-hand side of the screen. Air temp 74, track temp is 75 degrees. A wind 12 miles an hour out of the east. A little bit of a tailwind at one half of the racetrack, a headwind at the other. But as they roll down the back straightaway here, Hunter, again, we're kind of we got only a couple spots to give here for those open competitors, and it's all going to come down to the last couple laps of this race. Keep your nose clean, keep it out of the fence, keep it out of the infield, and you should be in a good spot to start the Area 500 next week.
Yeah, if you do all those things, then you should put yourself in a good position. But after Kyle Larson blew a tire at Pocono on the last lap in the last corner, it's never over till it's over. So if there's a car that has a two car length gap heading into turn 3, it is not over yet. It's never over until it's truly over. So you never know what can happen here at Daytona. And look at this. We got Solar Flare Racing on the front row, Nichols on the inside, and Culberson on the outside.
I know that all too well. I was at Sebring Raceway last weekend. A GT4 car ran out of fuel coming to the checkered, lost the race. It's all about qualifying for the big race, though. Next week, the Area 500. The duels are underway here from Daytona. Jake Nichols and Dwayne Culberson from Solar Flare Racing take us to the green. Side-by-side drivers battle through turns 3 and 4 on the first lap of the first duel. Out front, it's Jake Nichols in the number 91, the 70 of Balacino. The 51 pops out of line there for a moment. That was Patterson in the background here, Hunter. Lap 1 complete as Nichols and Balacino take the top 2 spots.
Slaughter looking to the outside, got no help coming. Unless there's Chris Sci-Fi in the 45, going to jump out and pick up the 48, but it's the first 5 cars that are single file on the bottom. Outside stacked up. Going to get a run here off too.
Oh, look at that swing to the outside by the number 13 of Andrew Player.
Yes.
Ooh, the 88 trying to go to the outside of the 22 of DeLeo. That didn't work out so well. No momentum in that upper groove here, Hunter. They're falling back very quickly. Culberson's 11th after a lap and a half.
Yeah, Culberson is not going in the direction that he obviously wants to go in. Although it is lap 2, you still want to find some sort of speed underneath your racing machine. That outside lane is not looking strong to start.
No, there's not really any cohesion right now. At the moment, it's pretty frantic looking all the way through the field. Everyone's trying to discover, wow, look at the 13 to the underside of the 22 of DeLeo. They almost touched through turn 2.
That was super close. We almost saw the big one happen right there on lap 3.
Yeah, again, there's so many new players here in the mix, and no one's really sure who their friends are at this moment, this early in this race. Look at the 45 of Seidenfeiden giving a big shove to Brad Slaughter in the 88.
It's going to take a little bit for that outside line to get in, but when they get the momentum boost, it's night and day difference. And you can already see the work that they're starting to make up. Still about 4 cars. Yeah, 4 cars now break away between the outside lane, slowly approaching with Slaughter and Seidenfeiden leading the way.
Down into turn number 1. Look at Jake Nichols, leads Alan Balacino, but that outside shove from the 45 and 88, lots of pushing and shoving, and they look a little bit loose there when they're making contact mid-corner. Seth Noel in the number 1 and the 81 of Dwayne Culberson, they're packed up and paired up behind him, but look at the 20 of Zimmerman get that big run down the backstretch. He's got a car behind him. I think, is that Dwight Beaverly in the 01 that's right next to him?
Beverly is in the 01.
Yes.
Part of Unacceptable Racing with Tommy Ryan and Jeff Ryan, both brothers. So we got 2 pairs of brothers, and we got the Nichols for Solar Flare Racing, and we got the Ryans for Unacceptable Racing.
Well, the 32 car pulled up in front of Brad Slaughter Jr., but nowhere to go, no momentum. Big pull off from Dom DeLeo, and he'll slot back in line there. That outside groove with help from Brad Slaughter Jr. Again, this momentum is coming and going very, very quickly. They're losing it, they're gaining it. It's just not consistent up there right now. Look at Culberson.
No, it is not.
Where did he come from?
Well, he managed to rotate his way on the bottom, and now is back leading the charge on the outside.
Into turn 3 now for Dwayne Culberson with help from Seth in the number 1. Brandon Key, who I haven't seen on Sim TV in a very long time. Welcome back to him. He's on the inside in 3rd at the moment in that white and yellow number 95.
Yeah, he wants to join up towards the front with his teammate Cosmin Yonishiwu, who qualified 2nd. He's already locked into the Area 500, but they're 3 wide right behind these guys.
Yeah, it's making me a little bit nervous here this early in this event to be fighting so hard, so fiercely, so early. Lap number 6 of 30. It's laps tick by extremely quickly here as we head down the back straightaway. The 32 still leads that push on the outside with the 13 of Player behind him. And big swing to drivers right from one of the cars. That was the 1 car of Seth Noel.
Yeah, Noel, part of Miller Racing from Dawson Miller, behind Miller Racing Graphics. Got teammates Garrett Grant, Travis Spector, Seth Noel, just mentioned, and Andrew Player. They're both in this duel. I don't think the other 2 are in. Vector and Grant, I think they might be in duel 2.
Vinny, we got you back now?
I don't know. We'll see how long I stay here.
Oh boy.
I don't know what's going on. Some weird issue with my computer. I have to look further into it. For now, I'm here.
He's got the electrical gremlins inside the PC case at the moment. Look at the 88 of Brad Slaughter Jr. trying to split the difference. It's been a wild start here, Finian. 2 packs kind of forming, 1 at the rear, 1 at the front.
Yeah, interesting to see. I guess you're probably seeing maybe some guys decide to lay back just a little bit, but again, with only a 30-lap race, that's not a whole lot of time to really play around with. You don't really kind of want to, separate. We typically see it in the longer super speedway races where we see a distinct pack of 2, a second pack laying back. They don't want to get involved in anything. They want to stay out of the action. But and we were talking about in the pre-race that it's hard. You lose so much momentum in some cases. You might not be able to catch back up, and that's a really big threat.
95 car, Brandon Key in line. I mentioned we hadn't seen him on Sim TV in a very long time, but he is back and in the mix here as the field side by each on the banking. One car slides up the racetrack in the middle of the corner. That was the 27 car of Gabriel Ellison, who started this event in 11th. He's up to 4th place as it goes, and the 13th player with maybe a push from DeLeo here, Hunter, and here comes Seiden fighting again.
I'll say Ellison sitting nice in that now 5th position, sort of battling for 4th in the beautiful Roasted Gems coffee car.
That Roasted Gems coffee providing our starting lineup graphics for the season this year. One thing I'm noticing a lot, Finian, is how much the runs are coming. I don't remember these cars building runs at the scale and speed that they are. They're losing a lot of speed and then gaining it all back and taking heads of steam 20 miles an hour faster than their competitors.
Yeah, this is probably due to some of the updates that the next-gen car received. There are a few updates over, I think, since we've seen these guys on a plate track. So I think it's been definitely helping them quite a bit in that respect as Jake Nichols looking up back him, getting nice and comfy with Ballacino in behind them all over the bumper.
Leading comfortably, Jake Nichols has been out front, reigning champion of the Area Cup Series, and started on won the pole, so he's all good. He is completely locked into his start position for next Monday's Area 500. Behind, everybody scrapping for positions. We hit lap number 10 of 30. Now, the unique scenario here, Hunter, with the way our duels are working is we don't actually really know who's going to get through until the end of Duel 2, because there's really only a set number of guaranteed spots. It's whoever finishes higher in either. So unless we have some definite crashes for those open drivers, we're not really going to know the situation. It's unlike the real series where you kind of know generally who's where in each duel.
Yeah, I was going to touch up on that. So the highest open car currently is that 20 of Brandon Zimmerman, currently running in the 5th spot right now. From what I've got here, he's the highest open driver. Did see Brad Slaughter here. He's migrated towards the middle of the pack, running in 13th right now. But Zimmerman, so far so good, 10 laps in.
Looking pretty solid right now, following the 27 of Gabriel Ellison, the 95, creeping up the racetrack. Double wide behind Zimmerman here, but all he can do is control his own destiny, Finian. Started 22nd, running 5th. He's doing what he needs to do. Started basically dead last, and up inside the top 5 is likely going to be in front of any dramas, but that's never a guarantee.
No, it really is never a guarantee, especially when you start to see guys get a little bit desperate. They start making, maybe 3-wide moves. Maybe a little bit too early on for that at the moment, but you could see that later on. Guys start to get a little bit desperate, and you see here you get that a lot of wiggling back and forth. The one lane starts to die, another person dies up the middle. It all happens somewhere near the front. Typically, you don't expect it to be too chaotic here, but it can get chaotic occasionally, and that could lead to a wreck. So you're never truly safe in these races.
Steph Noel with a big moment out of turn 4 with a push from the 22 of Dom DeLeo. Now he drops in line in the bottom right ahead of the 41 car of Tyler Nichols. We haven't really talked about Tyler at all yet, Hunter. Here he runs in 7th after starting in 4th, so gently dropping back, but seems like he's racing pretty smart.
Yeah, smart so far, near and halfway through. He picked up the pace towards the second half of the season, last season for the Cup Series and for Solar Flare Racing, so would expect to see him start to run up towards the front more, continue to see that 41 car grow. Was the 79 last year, now the 41. But so far, so good.
09 car, Bryce Senesac is in the mix as well, but no one has challenged Jake Nichols so far. Finian, he is the reigning champ and continues to be a dominant force here early, but I don't think that's just because of overall pace. Again, he's not really a lot you can do to the car, so it all comes down to Ballacino and Brandon Key kind of playing with the party up here. They know what they're doing is smart. Just stay in line and don't challenge him just yet.
Yeah, the thing is going to be really how much can they stay in line? Will they be able to keep this going till the end of the race? Or Ballacino, will he try to peel out of line, try to get ahead of the 91? When will that happen?
Through turns 3 and 4, and Hunter as we rocket out of the 4th corner and down the front straightaway. Big slide from the 13 of Player. We're closing on halfway already. I think that's going to start ratcheting up the energy level here.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, the first handful of laps or so, drivers are still trying to get a feel for the car. Oh, and they are really loose there on the outside. That was Noel and DeLeo there, nearly making a crash there. I was going to say, they did make contact, but they didn't make enough contact to create a crash. But they are starting to get more comfortable I was just going to mention, first handful of laps, that's why everyone was so spread out. Now they're starting to bunch in tight together.
Little wiggle there out of the one. He and the 22 are not getting really along very well. Front versus rear bumper. They've had a couple of big slides here in this race. Now the 45 of Seidenfeiten getting the push from the 32 car of JT Poole. And up to the top side goes Bryce Senesac in a very easy to spot green and black Chevrolet.
Yes, Senesac here in the 09 car. Got a new paint scheme compared to last year. More green in this one than last season in the butt kicker 09, and starting to lead the charge on the outside.
I'll tell you, it's easy to spot from a mile away. It'll make it easy to spot on the broadcast as well. Leading that outside lane. Stealth is not that car's strong suit, but speed right now seems to be the 20 car. Brandon Zimmerman drops in the line again. That leading open car in a good spot. He's been here the last couple of laps.
Yeah, if there isn't a car that was outside, he's in a good spot, because it seems like if there's a wreck that's going to happen, it's going to be from a bad bump to the outside.
That's pretty safe. 15 laps to go. That means that we are halfway through this first duel, a quarter of the way through the night's action. No dramas so far other than a couple of slips and a couple of slides. And like we said, Hunter, typically one of those duels is cleaner than the other. I don't think we're far enough in to really know which is going to be which yet.
Yeah, very true. I don't think we're... Oh, whoa. There was contact between the 22 and the 09. Tried to see how much they could get away with bumping coming off the back stretch, and the 09's trying to get his momentum back. Outside lane going to stack up.
Yeah,
and Al DeLeo will lead the charge.
All off the nose of the 22 again. So Dom DeLeo certainly aggressive with the pushing, but everyone that's been in front of him has ended up sliding backwards in the next lap or so.
He's testing the limits at a super speedway like the driver in the 22 in real life would do.
Yeah, usually that's from the front, though, throwing blocks on the field. He hasn't gotten quite there yet. 14 laps to go. 10 minutes and 40 seconds or so left if we go green. But that's a tall ask. A 32 now is the one. No, there he goes. Spin, crash, big impact in turn 2, and up the racetrack they go. And sliding down, it is a junkyard on the super stretch.
Yeah, I think about 3, 4, 5 cars involved in that one.
That looks like it. Off the nose of the 22, as we predicted only seconds before, but again, you have to go for it. Let's have a look at the replay here. SimRap Market replay, and watch this 32 car here, Finney.
Was it a bump gone wrong? Oh yeah, just turned him.
Oh, Wayne Culberson, the 0-1 of Dwight Beaverly got a piece of it. That was a big impact here. Watch this again. Right here, mid-corner, the 32 gets turned, hits the side of the 13, bounces back up and wham into the outside wall. Culberson had nowhere to go, and the 0-1 driver's side into the outside wall.
Yep, 32 JT Poole is one of the open cars in, trying to make it into the Area 500. Going to be tough to make it after that, but we kind of saw this coming with the 22 of DeLeo. He was testing the limits of what he could do bump drafting wise, and just got a little too much there, and unfortunately Poole was a part of that test, and it did not go well.
Here's Dwight Beaverly's on board, almost free and clear of it, and Finian got hooked at the last second.
Yeah, that's the worst thing, right? You think you're just about to make it on through, and unfortunately just got tagged into the wall. He goes. I want to say that's a decent amount of damage. We'll see if he can get going. I don't think it didn't hit the inside wall either.
Caution is out for the first time in this race for a collision between the 32-01 13, and then throw the 22 in there as the catalyst for that incident. But this is going to set up a late race restart, Hunter. All right, we saw some calm racing for about 17 laps. I think it's about time to ratchet up that intensity and run the final. It'll probably be about 10 or 9 laps to the.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see what these guys up front do, because basically the first 4 or 5 positions, they've been single file without anyone on their outside. So it's going to be interesting to see these guys line up side by side and see the aggression levels rise in some of these front runners.
Here's a look at your race recap so far. 12 laps to go, 1 caution for 2 laps. And here's the real crazy stat, Finian. 1 leader at any plate race. That's incredible. But I guess looking at who it is and who he's got behind him, the 70 of Balacino and Brandon Key, who are both kind of playing the drums to this orchestra here, looking pretty solid, is Jake Nichols.
Yeah, that is quite surprising to see. You expect maybe one other person to probably, get up there and change position. But no, that 91's been pretty dominant up in the front. I guess this is because really the next, 2-3 cars in behind him, they've just not been willing to get around him or try to get around him. So he's really had no other competition. However, I have a sneaking suspicion that's going to change over the next 12 laps.
Could be right about that. But behind the pace car here, we're under caution for the first time this race for the area duels at Daytona. Again, I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Hunter Sleppy and Vinny and Kuna for kickoff of the 2022 season. Fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For only $5 a month, you can watch all area broadcasts commercial-free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat. You'll also earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise. And who doesn't love free? Am I right? As we roll out of turn 4 here under caution, let's get through a few more here. Roasted Gems Coffee, we mentioned them earlier. Starting grid sponsor for 2022. Fans, be sure to visit Roasted Gems Coffee. Some of the finest coffee from all over the world. Discount code Area iRacing for 10% off your order at roastedgems.com. All right, lights are on atop the safety car. Pretty quick turnover here for the restart. And all the replays from that collision brought to you by SimWrap Market. Fans, be sure to check out simwrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. Focus on the racetrack is the front two drivers, Jake Nichols and Alan Ballacino. Hunter, if you're Ballacino, how hard do you fight the 91, or do you just want to tuck back in line and do what you were doing?
I would tuck back in line. I would just keep my own on the bottom, and if people pass me on the outside, so what? just kind of put up with what I've got. But interesting to note, if the 91 indeed does win this duel, essentially second place would start on the second row. So they would essentially be the winner within the race, even though the 91 potentially could win this duel. So if that's the case, then second place is up for grabs and just about every other position on the racetrack.
All right, cars in banking in turns 3 and 4. Finian, who's looking good to you? Who is your pick to win this race? I know for Nichols it doesn't matter all that much, but is he the favorite or is somebody else here in the mix?
Well, I mean, I've been out of here for half the race dealing with my own issues. For what I have seen so far, yeah, the 91 is pretty good, but I mean, Ballacino up in front, I feel like he's been saving up something pushing that 91. We haven't really seen what he's got under the hood. I think with the pace going off and 10 laps to go, he might start to show what he's got for trying to win this race.
All right, pace car pulls off. It's going to be a 10-lap shootout here in duel number 1 for the Area 500 race next week. Setting the 40-car grid for next week's 500 season kickoff event. Green flag back in the air. Jake Nichols and Alan Ballacino drag racing down towards turn 1. Ballacino with the good run towards that first corner and drops in front of the 91 Hunter.
Well, that was quick. I didn't expect it to be that easy. He's already set the tone, blocking the 91 of Jake Nichols on the bottom. Now the 27 of Ellison for Lucky Duck Motorsports leading the charge on the outside, but for how much longer?
91 looking antsy, looked like he wanted to go to the outside and maybe jump up in front of the 27 of Ellison. He didn't do that. Finian, the 41, right in the quarter panel of the 27.
Oh, we already just saw that go very bad, and it's trying because they're trying to get that momentum going, but that outside lane just has nothing to do at the moment. There's already 6 cars clear about on the bottom side. It looks like they're starting to get a little momentum now, but we'll see if anyone from the bottom, that's going to be the big thing, see if anyone from the bottom jumps up to the top.
Yeah, right now, again, a lot of nervous energy on that top side, but there is speed to be had up there. I just like being in the top 5 and being on the bottom. If I'm in Duel 2, that's what I've noticed so far, is I want to be on the bottom in the top 5. How easy is that? Not easy, but that's where the safe space has been tonight.
Interesting thing to note here, the 2 open cars of Zimmerman and Slaughter running 4th and 5th on the track at the moment. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out for not only this duel, but for the second duel, as it's a 5-car breakaway. Then you got Seth Noel on the bottom and the 37 of Jeff Ryan on the outside.
Coming to 8 laps to go here, Finian. A couple cars in the backdrop that we haven't really seen a lot yet. Jacob Bell in the 77, could he be a factor? Andrew Player was quick early, but hasn't been much of a factor lately. Garrett Grant, Dwayne Culberson, I know he got some damage, but that car might be okay and repaired. Though lots still left to decide here in the final 8 or 7 laps. Down the backstretch we go here, Hunter. Look at the 70 leading the way, some shuffling behind him. The 95 of Brandon Key. He has been a solid third-place runner all night long. How long does he sit there for?
I would probably sit there and see what the two in front of me do. The outside lane is starting to get squirrely there. The 37 of Ryan, the 27 of Ellison. Trying to get some cohesion to work together. It's kind of tough to do in the corner, as we saw earlier with DeLeo. So it's going to be interesting to see how that outside line gets towards the front. They might need someone from that bottom to come up, and that person might be Brandon Key in the 95.
That 95 car fitting has been sitting right in the mix all night long and been third place all night long. When does he make a move to the outside?
I think he's waiting for his time to strike. Again, we talked about it, though. You can't quite wait too long. You need to make your move a little bit earlier than you might want to, just to make sure you don't get yourself caught up, especially with that outside lane starting to close back in. If he waits too long, he's going to be pretty much stuck in lane. He can't go to the outside if he's stuck on the inside lane.
How much do you risk at this stage? Coming to 6 laps to go here, Hunter. This is just for qualifying position. How risky are you willing to make your moves here? This is just for the start of a very, very long race next week. Is it worth spinning out and starting last over? 95 car to the outside. Brandon Key finally gets some clean air on the nose with some help from the 37.
Yep, a lot of interesting moves being made here within this pack. One of those was Key moving up to the outside, now being pushed by Ryan and Ellison on that outside line. Look for them to get a run here heading into turn 3.
Big push, big shoves. The 95 a little loose on the banking here, Finian, but that outside is building momentum a little bit more rock solid than it's been all race. They formed and died quicker, and big moves here as they come to 5 to go.
Yeah, I can't tell that 95 is loose or he's getting loose trying to side drafts off the guys on the inside. That car doesn't quite look stable at the moment. That's going to cost the momentum. As you can see, the guys in behind closing back up, but they can't quite seem to go anywhere. You see the 88 Brad Slaughter working his way through on 4th. It's really starting to lose a lot of time on that outside lane, just not going forward.
Yeah, there's a little bit of desperation perhaps as they realize that they're not gaining momentum. Look at the 27 and 37, a touch there. And the 2 open drivers in this race, the 88 and the 20 Hunter, they are nose to tail for 3rd place.
Yep, 3rd and 4th on the track. Going to be interesting for the open cars in the next duel. And now the 09 of Senesac is joined on the outside, being pushed by Brandon Key. See if he can lead that charge towards the front. It's getting awfully dicey, though. 3 wide in the middle. The 27 of Ellison.
Nowhere for Ellison to go. Vinny, go ahead. That was getting dicey there on the front stretch.
Yeah, he's poking his nose in. This is where he's going to see these guys start to potentially force it 3 wide. Because, I mean, if you can't go in here. Ooh, I thought I saw them almost door each other. The 37 was getting put in the wall after some contact, but they're going to continue going forward. They see 16 move to the outside, a bit of a block from the 22, almost turned the 22 into the wall.
That was getting spicy. Look at the 09 of Senesac with that big run. Lots of dramas in the rear view mirror, but up front, here comes the 09, a push from the 95. They're building momentum for the 91 and 70 that have been up front all night long, Hunter.
Oh, all it takes is a bad bump, though. That 95 is moving quite a bit on that bumper of the 09 of Senesac. Looks like they make it out of turn 4 calm for now. The outside lane's starting to break up just a little bit. Valancino leads the way with 3 to go.
95 is just shoving the 09 of Senesac. This is trouble waiting to happen.
Oh, it always is when you come down to the finish of these kind of races. Senesac, though, bringing a big run to that outside lane. He's got the 95 in behind Key. Finally starting to make some momentum sitting in lane as he's trying to give Senesac that push to the front. Here they go, big run on the back straightaway.
And the one's going to go to the outside here, Hunter. Going to make it 3 wide for 3rd place as they head down into turn 3. This is where it's going to all go wrong. The 70 and the 95, door to door to door with the 1 car up top, Hunter.
2 rows of 3 wide here in the closing stages of Duel 1, all for the area 500. Bryce Senesac leads the way, and we've got cars squirrely all over the place. Here comes Jacob Bell. We haven't seen Jacob Bell at all. He's pushing the one to set the up with 2 laps to go.
Almost saw them door each other up between the middle and the outside lane. The 95 getting put in the sucker hole, to the back he goes. Here comes the 1 on the outside trying to bring a run. Bell, as you mentioned, in behind.
95 car, big moment there, Hunter. You saw it.
Yeah, he tried to get in line there on the bottom. Here comes Valancino, run to the outside. Jake Nichols going to push him down the backstretch. Senesac has little to no help. That outside line is as packed as it's ever been.
Look at the 1, drop to the bottom in turn 3. Huge run. Here comes the 77 of Bell. The 45 aside and fighting through a block on the 88. Now drops to the bottom in turn 3. Finian.
Yeah, the field, you see these guys trying to control the field, trying to control the guys in behind them with aggressive blocks, aggressive moves. Well, they were aggressive. We made it at least to the white flag. I don't know if we'll be able to make it back to the checkers.
Down towards turn number 1, Hunter. They are nose to tail and side by side. Can they make it 2.5 miles?
Not all of them can. Some of them will. We're almost 4 wide here going in through turn 1 and 2.
That ain't going to work. Spin behind him.
They're wrecking in the back.
71
the
in the wall.
71 to the 37 up in the wall in turn 2. And then we got more
95
spin.
off.
Brandon Key spins. More cars are crashing behind. Balancino leading the way as they head down the backstretch and into turn 3 for the final time.
And here's the 88 of Brad Slaughter Jr., that open car. The 91 and the 70 almost banging doors in turn 4. Here comes a 5 of Garrett Grant. He's going to go 3 wide to the outside as they come out of turn 4. The 91 back to the front. Here comes the 88 of Slaughter to the outside. He sweeps wide, and Brad Slaughter Jr. comes to the stripe and wins duel number 1.
Wow, what a way to guarantee your spot to win the whole race.
Wow, that was awesome.
What a finish.
We're not even going to get a chance to take a deep breath because of the heat racing format. That's all you're going to get. But holy cow, Brad Slaughter Jr. from absolutely nowhere. As carnage happened behind him, he snuck on through. Drivers at the end that took a big hit, though. The 71 went backwards, Finian.
We were talking about Bell, we were saying, where did he come from? Where did Slaughter come from? Because he was nowhere really near. He was kind of sitting quiet for most of that jockeying back and forth in the last 5 laps, and then just saw his opportunity there, timed the runs absolutely perfect, and he's going to be walking away with the checkers for duel 1.
That is going to be a hard act to follow for duel number 2. They're at the very tail end, despite a couple of spins and slides. For the most part, we didn't wreck a whole lot of cars there, Hunter, but we get a chance to do it all over again here in duel number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's probably what is going to be the standard for duel 2. We're going to see a lot of spread out racing in the handful of laps or so. Then towards halfway, we're going to see more packed, tight racing. And then towards the end, we're just going to see drivers going at it, giving it their all, and quite a few of them spinning. All
right, heading down to the racetrack here. Here is a look at your Roasted Gems Coffee starting lineup on the left. The 84 is your pole sitter for this one. Of course, that is Cosmin Yoneshiwu in the number 84, then James Scioli on the outside, then followed by Ryan Swan, Greg Mitchell in that second row, Gordon Martin and Ryan Hartz in row number 3. Then row 4, Connor Okrezik in the 14 alongside Ricky Springer. Deltona Ballard and Matthew Bell make up row number 5. Row 6 is David Weishart in the 33 and the 61 of Bronson Stafford. Row 7 is Jonathan Cogswell and Danny Ware. Row 8 is Shane Abbey and Ed Robertson. Then row 9, Travis Beckner, Alex Weaver, Rafe Slate, and Kyle Sieg finish out the rest of your top 20 and the only 20 that will roll. And Hunter, Kyle Sieg is an open competitor as I understand it, so he's got to race his way in.
Indeed he is. He was a regular for the Truck Series last season, and I believe he is still going to be a regular for the Truck Series, but wanted to give his shot at making the area 500. It's like, hey, why not? Let's do a one-off. I mean, look what happened last year. Brad Slaughter decided to do a one-off, won the area 500. It's like, yeah, we'll run full-time. So it could be a similar scenario there for Kyle Sieg. And as we mentioned, Brad Slaughter was one of the open cars heading into the duels tonight. He won the first duel. So that's going to make things a whole lot interesting for the open cars here in the second duel. And one of them we just mentioned, Kyle Sieg. Greg Mitchell rolling off P4 with an alliance with Fazika Motorsports. He's racing for their team in the launch box side of things, but keep an eye on the 2 of Mitchell, 39 of Sieg, and I'd say keep an eye on that 84 of Cosmin Yoneshiwu, because if we saw anything like that in the first duel from Jake Nichols, we're going to see that 84 car up front all night long.
And Finian, this is really a who's who of oval racing, at least in SimTV's past. Greg Mitchell, I think that's a throwback from many, many seasons ago. We've seen lots of drivers return from seasons and series that we did a couple years ago, so a little bit of a throwback in some ways.
Yeah, it's always fun to see so many guys that we've covered in the past, and I think I want to hope that a few of them figured out or learned this series through it being covered from SimTV. But glad to see their names back and see what they can do as pace cars off.
30 laps again, 25 minutes of racing to set our grid for the Area 500 next Monday. Green flag in the air for duel number 2. Cosmin Yoneshiwu on the inside takes the green flag. Scioli in that rainbow kind of metallic colored car. He's on the outside entering turn number 1.
Yeah, very different colors for the 7 of Scioli compared to what we saw last season with the Rick's Hot Sauce machine.
Very different color scheme, but already moving back up towards the front. The 19 car, seeing a couple different drivers try this strategy in the past. The 19 drops to the bottom there, Finian, potentially planning on just outlasting the rest and making it to the end.
Yeah, I guess that might just be the game plan. Hopefully he doesn't lose the pack, though. It's very dangerous to do that, especially by yourself. You have the chance of losing the pack if you don't quite get the draft, and he's really on the cusp right there.
Just getting
Ironically, I was going to say, ironically enough, they call him the Wolf Pack because he is a fan of the NC State Wolf Pack over there on the college side of things for college football. But he got a good view of what happened in Duel 1. So he's like, yeah, I don't want to be anywhere near the front. He's going to run in the back. Like I said, lap 2. You're not going to win the race on lap 2 unless you wreck everyone, which I don't think anyone's going to do that. But interesting to see that early on, and got a train forming on the outside.
Greg Mitchell in the Eat Sleep race car. Love the livery. Very simple and clean. Very Penske-esh. To the bottom, though, Yonoshiwu in the number 84 with a push from Jordan Martin. And the 14 of Okrezik lining up on the inside. Interesting to note, though, that the leaders chose to go to the outside, Finian, this time, as the leaders in the last race went to the bottom early.
Yeah, it's always interesting because in real life we see a lot of times the leaders typically stay in the outside lane, but in iRacing it's never quite worked. The inside lane has always had the momentum. It's usually been the better lane to hang out and ride along if you're the leader, and we're now starting to see that those leaders start to come back on the inside.
Yeah, it looks like the inside lane prevailing again, Hunter.
I'll say coming off turn 4, the 2 of Mitchell had a big slide there, nearly lost it there, but we're starting to see a 9-day difference between the first duel and the second duel. Let's say a handful of laps where you can see a lot of open space there. Everybody's all tightly formed. Got one 3-wide action in the back, but nonetheless, everybody's packed in door to door, side by side, all throughout this pack here.
Yeah, they're already looking a lot more orderly on the top side, Finian. The early laps of Duel 1, there was huge runs generated up top, but they couldn't do anything with it. They would end up kind of fizzling out and dying. But here so far, a lot more organized, and they're making up speed.
Yeah, and it looks like they're starting to get some momentum now going. I guess it's just a different group of drivers, different group of guys up near the front and in that top lane. Seems like they're able to just make it work a little bit better. Here comes Mitchell in behind. Big bump to the back of Scioli.
Down towards turn number 3 now. 84 getting a push from the 11. And still pretty even, pretty calm and orderly so far as we approach lap number 5, Hunter. Already looking a lot different, a little bit less in disarray, but is this just prolonging the inevitable chaos?
Yes, I think that's like a thing. The chaos is inevitable. It's going to come at some point, but for now, it seems like this is the calm before the storm, as they say. On the bottom there, you see that's Jordan Martin pushing Yonoshiwu. He knows a thing or two about super speedway racing also. Took the last race before the playoffs started in season 2 for him to win and be into the playoffs. Didn't do much in the playoffs, but got a win under his belt, and he knows a thing or two with the next-gen cars. And that car right behind him, Connor Okrezik, it's another open car listed here. So we got open cars running 2nd currently and 6th on the racetrack. Going to make it for an interesting finish to see who makes it and who doesn't make it into the main event.
Big pushes and lots of loose moments here, Finian. And seeing kind of slam drafting, as we call it, where you come up with a big head of steam and just absolutely obliterate the rear bumper of the guy ahead. It gives him a shot, but it also kind of knocks him sideways.
Yeah, that's really the big thing, too, is just, how you hit the car, where do you hit the car, what's the load on the driver of the car that you're giving the bum to. It's a whole bunch of different factors that come into play. And, you may think you may hit the guy one time, maybe all fine. You may hit him just a slightly different moment in time and just the wrong point, and they go spinning out and around as what we saw, that big caution that we saw in duel number 1. Speaking of which, when do we expect to see a caution for duel number 2? Or do we expect a caution?
I would say your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw it just past halfway. I'm going to guess that we're going to see a similar story here with this one. I think just mathematically, it takes you a couple laps to really get antsy, and then it'll take you a few laps for the luck to run out. So I think by the time we get antsy and then the luck runs out, we'll be at least lap 10 to 12. That's only a couple laps away, though. Ryan Hart's in the 3 car on the outside lane, another name that we're very familiar with here in area. And look at the run that he's got on the backstretch, but lifts a little bit to avoid hitting the 2 car there, Hunter.
Yeah, me and the Harts, along with Jacob Bell, we go way back to Xbox racing, in which this guy would just dominate everything He ran in on Xbox, transitioned that over to the iRacing side of things, and is the defending Truck Series champion for Area iRacing in Season 2. Took that away from Brad Slaughter, so Slaughter looking to one-up him on the truck side of things, but Ryan Hart's going to try and match Slaughter's level on the Cup side of things. Slaughter won Duel 1, see if the 3 car can bring that number 3 in the victory lane for Duel 2.
Rick's hot sauce car on there, making things spicy up front. I thought it was a 1. This guy only had, I was like, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but it's 7, 2, 3, so that doesn't mean a lot anywhere. Look at the 14 there, Finian trying to go middle 3 wide. That's Okrezik.
Yeah, he's having a look there. It looks like the door is going to close. Maybe it's going to open up back again. There he seems slide out the 14, or the other 14. Around he goes.
12 car, the 12 of Ricky Springer. Didn't have anywhere to go, drops back to the bottom, and now Krusik is kind of in the sucker hole here, Hunter. That was an aggressive move. I don't think it's really going to play out very well, but now he jumps to the outside and strands the 12.
I would say I almost made the same mistake too. Rafe Slate was the 12 last season, switched to the 8, and the 12 was Springer. He's another open car up here, so we got 3 open cars here contending towards the top 10. And I don't know how many spots are available, but they're stacking up big on the bottom.
Yeah, big stack up behind. I think, is that who's that on the bottom there? That orange and black car. Either way, well, mathematically, how many cars we're getting in from the open category? 3?
3, yes.
So it's only going to be the top 2. Oh, no, it won't be. Where did Finian, can you check and see where the 80, or not the 88, the other open car finished in the last race?
Sure, give me 1 second. See what I can do.
I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, Zimmerman. Oh, spin, crash on the front straightaway. 28 and 84, crashing on the front stretch. And I think we got away with it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone hit anything.
Oh.
The 84 of Jonas Shiwu and the 28 of Travis Beckner. Take a look at our Simrap Market replay. Oh, and there was another car spin to the inside of that.
That was it. Beckner at 28, I think it was.
There was another one to the inside. It might have been Jordan Martin in the 11.
Oh, the 8 comes down, gets the 84, turns him up into the 28, and you're right, the 11 car of Jordan Martin went the Kyle Busch line down there, almost got that concrete fence down on driver's left, but again, it all starts right here. Watch the 8, kind of middle road, turns down right about here, catches the rear quarter panel of the 84, they go up into the 28, back across. Jordan Martin did a fantastic job, almost missing that, and gets tagged there right at the end like we saw with the wreck in number 1. Let's ride on board. Thought coming. Couldn't quite miss it. Did well not to hit that wall on the inside. He skidded through the pavement. Finney, you got an update on me for the Zimmerman car, where he ended up in Duel 1?
Unfortunately, I don't have access to that.
Okay.
At the moment, I'm only watching.
Well, I do. Let's go I'm going to take a brief to find out, because we need to know what the situation is.
Yeah. That was a perfectly timed caution for that, though.
So it was. So Zimmerman, in the first heat of the day, came home in 11th. So that means that if only 3 cars move on to the 500, and one of the cars that was open already won Duel 1, that leaves 2 spots remaining. That means that the drivers that are open in this race need to finish 10th or better, basically. Does that sound right, Hunter?
Honestly, could you say that again? I got lost in thought.
So we know the 88 is going to move on as one of the 3 because he won the duel.
Yes.
And that only leaves 2 spots remaining. The next open car, which was the 20 of Zimmerman, finished 11th in Duel 1. So that means that any open cars that wish to move to the 500 need to finish 10th or better.
Yes.
So that makes that pretty simple then.
Oh, you know what?
Right?
Hold on one moment. I'm getting word from the boss man himself that seems like everybody that's racing tonight is locked into the main event.
Oh, well, that's great. Then we don't have to worry about eliminating people. That's fantastic.
that makes everything a lot easier.
That was the hardest part about this whole thing, was knowing who was going to get eliminated. So that makes it easy. We can just focus on who wins now at this point. All right, then. Takes the pressure off. All right,
I'll
guys.
say if not, that would have made everything a lot interesting because there are some open cars here running inside the top 10, especially up in second. Greg Mitchell, again, open car, but has an affiliation with Fazekas Motorsports. Greg Mitchell doing a nice job so far in his, I'd say, Cup debut. I don't think he ran Cup last season. Ran some part-time Xfinity racing with Dom DeLeo just to kind of get him comfortable with the car, and that's what the two of Greg Mitchell will be doing, racing on the launch box side of things, but in his Cup debut, I'd say he's doing a pretty good job.
Doing a great job. I love this livery, too, as I mentioned earlier. It's just really clean, slick looking. Very, as I mentioned, kind of Penske-esque. But he'll have to gear it back up, tack it up, and send it. All right, got to drop down the list here, though. Finian, who you got winning this thing?
Ooh, who do I got winning this thing? I don't want to be boring, but I mean, that 7 car, he's been really good.
Oh, boy. Hunter, you got anyone more interesting to pick?
He said it was boring. Well, I kind of manifested it in qualifying when I asked for drivers to keep an eye on. The 88 of Brad Sar, I said to keep an eye on him, and he just stuck through out of nowhere, coming out turn 4 on the last lap. Like I said, it ain't over till it's over. Jake Nichols came out with turn 4 with the lead, and Slaughter being to the line. So I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb here and say that the 21 of Delonte Valley, new driver. Not really new to area, but new to Solar Flare Racing as their 4th driver. I feel like he's just going to put himself in the right position and going to find himself in the lead somehow.
Does have the coolest name in the entire field, I will say that. That is a race car driver name right there, isn't it? Alonta Ballard, man.
Flows off the tongue.
I wish
really
I had a name
does.
like that. It's really.
Yeah, your name's boring. It's just Kyle Hire.
All right, you know what? All right, doubling back up. I'm going to mute your microphone for the rest of the show.
Jokes on you. I'm probably going to my computer's probably going to crash again.
Yeah, they've been having a tough night with the computer gremlins, that's for sure. All right, gearing back up, the 7 car elects the outside lane ahead of the number 9 of Matt Bell. We haven't really talked about Matthew Bell at all, but great looking kind of semi-gloss Logitech livery there. Started 10th up to 3rd. Good run for Bell so far. Come back to the green. There will be 17 laps to go. We have 13 completed this time through of this 30-lap race. Again, all drivers will advance and move on to the Area 500 next week. As pace car pulls off, we're going racing in the duels once again.
Yeah, I'd say keep an eye on that
flag.
outside lane. Got a little too ahead. Keep an eye on the outside lane there because not only Scioli leading it, but you just mentioned the 9 of Matthew Bell. His teammate Alex Weaver of iRLC Motorsports over there joining the freight on the outside.
3 and the 2 are lined up on the bottom here, Finney. Look at the 64 of Ed Robertson as well. And they're going to have a big head of steam here. Look at the momentum they're getting on that shorter way around.
Yeah, trying to get themselves situated here with that outside lane, getting a huge run off the corner.
I think there was a stack up on the inside versus the outside getting a run. And Hunter,
Major
as they enter,
stack up.
Yeah, as they enter turn 3, Scioli, Bell, and Weaver are well clear of the bottom, and so is the 61, who dives down the racetrack to the inside.
Yeah, that is Bronson Stafford, and there is, I was going to say, the rest of iRLC Motorsports there, the 9 to 12 before, they're all in that pack right there. Now we got some more interesting racing going on. Matthew Bell to the lead, 3 wide action in the middle of the pack, coming towards the front.
Oh, Kresick going to try to squeeze up the inside of Scioli, and he will do just that, Finian. And looks like Okrezik will pass the number 7, but by draft from the 7 of
this is not looking
Scioli.
good.
This is getting really tight and dicey.
Yeah, very tight and dicey in the middle to the back of the pack, and you see a 3-car breakaway in the front. It's going to be interesting. Can those 3 cars kind of stay ahead of everyone else, or will the lead the back half catch up?
They're in the safest position on the racetrack right now.
Scioli heard clear and just used that to cross about 16 lanes of traffic on the back straightaway. That was like one of those rush hour moves from the HOV lane all the way to the exit on the right, 6 lanes over. He just took it and went for it.
Yeah, fortunately, these guys are trying to chase them. The top 3 who you're not even in frame there. You can see they're actually starting to get a pretty sizable lead.
It's Bell, Weaver, and Stafford. Speaking of liveries, how about that 61? That is a pretty race car.
Oh, there you go. Anything black and yellow as a Steelers fan, I go ballistic over. That is one fine paint scheme there for the Simrat market, number 61 of Bronson Stafford.
The wiggling and wobbling there in the back of the field. turn 3 and 4, and that group up front is just checking out.
Yeah, they're really doing a solid job here. I'm kind of surprised. I was expecting them to get reeled back in pretty quickly. It's going to be interesting to watch that gap and see if it expands or not. It's hovering at about 1.4 seconds between with the second group being back from the leader, and there doesn't look like they're making any inroads.
Well, they're too wide, fourth on back right now, and they've been losing about 0.2 of a second a lap to those drivers that are up front, just nose to tail, single file. They're making really good speed as it stands. So if they can just keep this organization together, they should be all right.
Yeah, I was going to say the only way that the pack is going to catch them, to catch the front three, is if they go single file, and they were doing that, but now we got some side-by-side.
Oh, spin! 14.
Oh, we got a crash! Oh, Krasik gets turned by Springer, and there goes the rest of the field.
Well, there goes everybody.
Big one out of turn 4.
Yep, 33, the 26, the 12, the 84, the 14. With 12 laps to go. Big one on a Monday night. Have a look at the SimWrap market replay here. 14 and the 7 get together, the 12 just crash and smash from there on out. Ooh, the
Greg
26.
Mitchell getting a piece of that. I would say it started back in turn 3. Someone made a move. It was the 14. He made a move underneath the 7 of Scioli. Scioli goes to side draft, and they touch doors. And then the 12 car gets into him. And there's Weishart, Mitchell, nowhere to go. And then bam, into the outside wall.
Big mess there. Here's what it looks like at full speed. Look at all the debris flying everywhere. That 26 back up into the outside wall. Here's what it looks like at full speed. Bam. Again. Right on board with the number 12, who was kind of in the middle of all that. The end of it all, Ricky Springer.
Oh, it looked like a little bit of netcode there. They were close to making contact, but it seems like netcode might have gotten the best of them.
I just saw there's one car in the back there that somehow managed to snake his way on through. I'm not quite sure.
Take a look from high above and we'll get an idea. No. One.
Delonte Ballard.
Oh,
Whoa.
yeah, that was
Oh,
amazing.
man.
Holy cow, let's have a look on board the number 21 of Delonte Ballard.
Trying to keep an eye on him. I didn't think it would be that way.
Yeah, that's a Code Brown moment right there.
Wow. That is the move of the night for sure. Watch this again.
Because he thought about going high and last second cut all the way left.
Holy cow, that was amazing.
That's as close as you can get.
I'd say.
But my opinion has yet to change. Keep an eye on that 21 car.
Hey, he's been picking pretty successful drivers tonight, I'll say that. We're going to be probably about 10 laps to go for this race as well. Next time we come back around, it should be our restart. This, of the two duels, this has certainly been the messier one, although it started so much more orderly looking.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess people maybe were feeling a little bit too comfortable. I think with the way this race has been going, I think that's kind of led it to being a little bit more messy, with some guys being aggressive later on as you got the one to green.
Lights are off atop the pace car. Restarting with 10 laps to go, and things happen quick. Under 10 laps here. All right, so Delonte Ballard is the choice from Hunter. Finian chose the 7 of Scioli. I'm going to go with this 61 car of Bronson Stafford. I think he's lurking up in this mix a little too quietly. I think he's the guy that's going to get this job done.
Yeah, I would pick him too, solely just because of the paint scheme. I mean, he's new to area, part of Sky Motorsports, which was formerly known as Elwood Design Esports. So keep an eye on that 61 car. That all the colors flow perfectly in that Simrad market number 61.
Can I be honest? That was the reason
No.
why I chose him to win. It's because of the paint scheme.
I mean, I've heard worse. I've heard of worse reasons to pick someone.
Well, you know, the origin story for why I was a Kyle Busch fan is because I turned on the TV one day in I think it was 2007 when he was barrel rolling down the back straightaway, and I was like, you know what, that's my guy. So I was in before it was cool, by the way.
And now he's going to Richard Childress Racing.
Have to rub it in. All right, field rolling out of turn number 4. It'll be a 10-lap, 25-mile sprint to the finish here, setting the grid for next week's Area 500. Pace car makes the hard left onto pit lane. Bell, Weaver, Scioli, Stafford, green flag back in the air, 10 laps to go.
Top lane just did not get going. Still struggling to get up to speed. Scioli just falling back through the order.
Yeah, Scioli's not going anywhere, but the 3 car is Hartz. Takes the Rick's Hot Sauce car to the outside here down the backstretch, Hunter.
I will say, joining the fray on the bottom there, it's Travis Beckner. Beckner was involved in a caution earlier, and he's back inside the top 10, closer towards the top 5. That outside lane still trying to get their momentum up with the 3 of Ryan Hartz leading the way, but now here comes Stafford to the outside, looking to get that momentum push from the 3.
Matthew Bell leads the way. Alex Weaver behind him. Then it's Stafford and Hartz in the outside lane here. Finian, 9 to go. Every lap we cross that stripe, the intensity ratchets up a little bit more.
Yeah, it's still ratcheting it up here. These guys aren't quite done yet. Hart's looking like he was looking to the top side. Just saw Scioli also blink out for a second. That's the last thing he needs at this point in time.
Not be
That's
helpful.
the last thing anyone else needs.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, I mean, this is the worst place to have that situation start to happen is in a plate race when you need everyone's internet to be cooperating. And this is why we talk about iRacing and the technical feats they have done. It is amazing that people from across the country can race this close, this fast, and not have the internet issues that we used to see in other games.
Ooh, whoa. A little squirrely action there between teammates of IRLC Motorsports. Weaver pushing Bell, which, by the way, don't think there's any relation between Matthew Bell and Jacob Bell, just a coincidence with name. But both were fast here as Bell got up front. Jacob Bell did in the last team. Matthew Bell holding his own for the moment. Stafford, though, with the run on the outside, trying to get help from the 3 of Hartz.
I like that 3 car right now. Look at the shove, Finian, that he gives him down the backstretch.
Yeah, massive run. Here comes Scioli as well. He was dropping back to the pack, now finally back up in 3rd. See Stafford dive down low. Hartz also diving down low. Scioli back up on the lead on the top lane. Not lead overall yet. He's still trying to work, and you see him trying to side draft the 3.
And Robertson helping push the 7 of Scioli forward. Bronson didn't go up to try to manage the lanes. We haven't seen that at all yet tonight, Hunter. We haven't seen people go from left to right to try to manage those lanes. The runs are just too big to throw blocks.
Absolutely, and with the way these next-gen cars are with the curved bumpers, one bad bump, and that could be the big one. We saw that in Duel 1. We saw that again. Well, we didn't see it again here, too, but we saw that in Duel 1 with the bad bump in the corner. But towards the end of it, we'll see bad bumps and bad blocks being thrown left and right.
Oh, look at the stack up on the inside there. It goes back 5 or 6 cars. The 4 car gets a piece of it. Look at the 0-0 of Danny Ware dropping to the inside, and here comes Jordan Martin. Wasn't this car spun out a little while ago, too?
He got collected in it, yeah, and now he's he's back up front behind the Muffin Man, Ed Robertson.
6 laps to go this time, Finian. We've got all sorts of drivers up in the mix that could have been taken out of this race. Jordan Martin's going to pull down to the inside. Scioli and Robertson, they'll lead that outside lane.
Yeah, ever since the inside lane started to lose momentum, seeing a lot of shuffling and a lot of new guys making their way to the front. Now looks like that bottom is starting to get some momentum with the 11 of Martin leading them on through here. He goes past Hartz, trying to get to the inside of Robertson. Curious to see Scioli will ditch the top lane. Looks like he's going to stick up there. They're not quite there yet on the bottom.
Will Hartz drop to the inside here, or will he stay put for now and use that momentum on the outside lane? And look who else has joined the party here. That number 80, the number 84, Yoneshiwu, he drops to the inside in front of the number 11. Again, these are other cars that we thought were crashed out.
Yeah, Yoneshiwu back inside the top 5, and I'm going to say the 3 going to stay behind his teammate there, Ed Robertson, and his other teammate, Jordan Martin, now pushing the 84 of Yoneshiwu back, trying to get that inside line, rolling into turn 1.
5 laps to go in duel number 2 for the Area 500, setting the lineup for next Monday's race. Scioli leads as he has so far out of 25 laps completed. He's led 14. He's really been the dominant fighter. But on the top side, very different than what we saw in duel number 1.
We're going to start to see that change here. Some guys dipping down to the bottom. Just saw, I think, the 2.
Greg Mitchell
dive down. Yeah, he's diving down low, trying to make something work. Yoneshiwu pushing the number 2 on the inside. But still, no one really dumping from the guys on the top. They just seem pretty comfortable there.
Yoneshiwu on that inside lane, pushing the 2 of Greg Mitchell. 4 laps to go. Inside lane going nowhere. When does someone from the top side dive to the bottom? Will the 3 do it? Will the 19 do it? Ryan Swan, he's got that 2 car coming. It's too late. Here comes Greg Mitchell on the inside, Hunter.
Yeah, this will be interesting because Hart won't make a move until the 64 does, because they are indeed teammates as they're stacking up on the outside. Bomb's trying to get a run. So really the 7 car's going to have to block 2 instead of 1, essentially, because both are going to make their move at the same time. Ryan Swan kind of in a pickle. I'd say he's in the catbird seat. I wouldn't necessarily say Mitchell is.
Oh, 64 to the bottom.
Say that. Forget everything I just said. Robertson went on his own.
Robertson to the bottom here, Finian. 3 laps to go as Robertson now has help from the 2.
Yeah, Robertson's curious to see what he's going to do there. Finally decided it was his time to strike. Scioli still working on the top. Now you can see both lanes pretty much dead even. Do we see a third lane form? As I say that, here we go, 3 wide.
Well, contact there, the 9 and the 20 and the 11, door to door and banging doors and straight and paint here down the backstretch here, Hunter. The 7 gets a shot from the 3. The 2 gives a shot to the 64, pushing and shoving. Just 2.5 laps left.
Yeah, this is going to be a disaster here in about a lap or so with the way these guys are making their moves. 3 wide in the middle of that pack there. 2 rows of 3 wide, but all being led by the 7 of Scioli.
Yeah, watch Bell in that middle lane, though. He's not giving up, still trying to make it work. Not quite a lot of support there. His teammate also falling on backs in that middle lane, dying out. Scioli still leading with some really good help from Hartz up on the top. But when does Hartz decide to make a move?
Well, we're coming back to the white flag. If we get there, the checkered flag will end the race. There will be no yellow opportunity. Through turn 2 now, the 64 and the 7 battle for positions. A little stack up there, the 3 car. Here comes the 9 and the 12 with a huge run, but nowhere to go with it. They have to back off for now, Hunter.
Something's got to give here. If they don't do it here, they're going to do it on the last lap. I mean, they're so tightly formed, 2 by 2 all throughout this pack. Robertson leading the bottom, Scioli on the outside.
Look at the
9.
Now
we got Matthew Bell trying to make a third lane. Beckner coming up again the block. Robertson back down low. There they come, down the tri-wall for the final time. White flag for duel number 2, led by Scioli. Will he lead it at the next stripe? Here comes
Hartz.
3 of Hartz to the inside. Ryan Hartz and Ed Robertson, once again, bumper to bumper through 1 and 2.
Yeah, the 3 of Hartz took that hard left turn. The 64 car gives them a shove, but that inside, they've had big checkups the last couple of laps on the bottom here, Finian. Look at this. They're going to touch out of turn 2. Oh, they crash. There goes the 64. He's gone. Now it's just the 19 on the outside with a big shove. The 7 in the middle. The 28's there as well.
And how about Swan getting a big run? Beckner behind. Watch Beckner.
Beckner coming up behind the 19, the 12, the 9, scrapping for position. Yoneshiwu in the middle of all that as well, but coming back to the stripe. Oh, they're crashing. The double zeros turned around. Danny Ware with the 19 and the 28 going to come to the line. Here comes the 9, 3 wide, and the 28
Beckner! Travis Beckner beats Ryan Swan to the line in an unbelievable photo finish that none of us saw coming.
Oh my gosh!
Wow, that was surprising. I thought Swan had that.
I love Daytona.
Like I said, it ain't over till it's over. Literally in the last 20 feet, Travis Beckner beats Ryan Swan, and Matthew Bell gave a good charge at the end as well. But I can't believe this, dude. Wow.
He wasn't even nowhere near him. Didn't even have overlap before the line. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, I'm curious what happened to I wonder if something happened to the 19. That was bizarre because I saw him coming off before. He had a decent gap. and Beckner didn't look like he had any momentum, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, got a second win near the end and just beat him to the line.
Oh, we have to go back and look at this replay again. Of course, with the session turnover here, I got to go back and check this out one more time. But coming out of turn number 4 and the momentum and speed that all these things all change, I've never seen anything quite like that. I know Daytona has made some unpredictable finishes, but this is something else.
So he blocked the 9 of Bell, who had a run, and that momentum pushed him on the outside and put Swan in a pickle because the 28's coming high, the 9's coming low. He kind of stuck in the middle there. That's why we got the 3-wide photo finish that we did. Man, oh man, that was awesome.
Insane. Let's go back and see a little bit more what happened on the back straightaway. The 64 car got turned around as well. So let's have another look at, oh man, that's going to hurt. Let's have a look.
Oh.
Right here, the 19 gets crossed up with the 7, and then Ed Robertson goes for a ride and spins it back around, and man, that was a hit. And then out of turn 4, it was the 00 that got the worst of it, Danny Ware.
Yeah, this right here, the front 2 got so far spread out, and then you saw the momentum from within the middle of the pack moving towards the front. And yep, 00 getting the clip there at the end. But man, oh man, what a finish that was. I can't wait for next Monday. Next Monday's Area 500, boys. And if we're getting finishes like these in the duels, imagine what we're going to get in the big event.
That was amazing, amazing stuff. And, well, there's a 2-lap race heading down on the racetrack right now just from drivers having fun. But that's it for the duels. They are done and complete. And, Finian, we saw some phenomenal racing. We get to see more of it next week when we kick off the Area 500. And Hunter, we again tonight, we saw some new faces from new places, and winner at the end, Travis Beckner, stole that away. We got Travis sitting here talking to him, so let's drag him in and have a chat. Hey, Travis, that was a wild, wild finish there out of turn 4. You didn't even have an overlap on the 19 as you came to the stripe, but you beat him out there by 19 thousandths of a second. Take us through that duel and that final lap run to the end there.
Yeah, coming down the backstretch, I don't know what happened. Everybody checked up, and I got into the Swan, which Swan got into Scioli, and Scioli about spun, and ended up getting out of there alive somehow, and coming out of 4. Didn't have a run on Swan. The air bubble was just too much, and then I saw them coming high on the outside, and I just hopped on up there and hoped I would get a good push from them, and I ended up getting it.
It just seemed like tonight their runs were so huge that throwing blocks was a real challenge. The runs were just so big. Do these cars feel any different? Have you learned anything that you can apply to next week's race for the 500?
Yeah, you can push a lot harder than what you think on here, and I was amazed on how hard you could push. But it was a fun race. Unfortunately, I got tangled up in the first wreck, but not too much damage from that.
Well, all things considered, Travis, a good night for you. Best of luck to you next week in the Area 500. We'll see you there. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Finian, wrapping the duels up here tonight. Such great racing, and I'm really excited to do more of this. But big runs all around, and makes the ends of the races very unpredictable. But you have to be very careful where you step, because any wrong move, you're going to be turned around backwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously that next week is going to be where we start assigning some points. Obviously it's first for the season very early on, but I'm sure many of these guys really want to make sure they get their season off on the right foot and get some nice solid early points out of here. So we're going to see maybe stuff being a little bit more tame now that there are some valuable consequences when it comes down to that first points paying race.
Hunter, final thoughts on the duels tonight and predictions for next week at Daytona.
Man, oh man, I was going to say, one of the biggest things heading into, one of the biggest things heading into the Cup Series season was Travis Beckner being in the Cup Series. I mean, we saw him, he does well in trucks, does well in the lodge box side of things, but that 3,000 level iRating is the minimum that you can have to be a Cup driver. And he really wanted to be in the Cup Series really bad last season, and he was fortunately granted, I think he's close to 3,000 iRating. Anyway, he was granted approval by series director, series admins, run in the Cup Series, and boy, this is just a confidence booster for that 2018 and for Miller Racing from Dawson Miller, got Garrett Grant, Seth Noel, Andrew Player, going to be building off this momentum solely from their teammate Travis Beckner. I mean, you saw him; he spun, he crashed in the in the middle of the second duel, and somehow, some way, got up front and won it out of nowhere.
A lot of fun to watch. Big thanks again to Rick's Hot Sauce. Fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Be sure to follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see who will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. Tonight's racing was spicy. I'm sure the 500 will be next week. Make sure to get yourself some Area iRacing.shop merchandise. Fans, check it out at Area iRacing.shop for merchandise to represent your favorite driver. Shop from our selection of t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, stickers, and more. Or Area iRacing.shop merchandise. We'll see you later. See you next week for the Area 500 here from Daytona International Speedway. Kyle Heyer alongside Hunter Slappy and Finian DeCuna. We'll see you next time.